you sexy Savaloys. Welcome to Stace and Barry in the morning. It's Saturday morning and we're all drinking coffee and being happy that it's the weekend and other stuff that rhymes. Hey, welcome to Season 3, Episode 4 of Stace and Barry. I am the Stace half of that title, and sitting across from me in this virtual morningy breakfast studio thing place is the beautiful Barry half. Morning, Barry.
That'd be me, beautiful Barry half. If we were a pantomime horse, I'd be the rear end, but I'd be a beautiful rear end.
You would be a resplendent horse, but I don't know if that's a thing you should say to anyone.
I don't know. I was going to say that's possibly the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me, which probably means I should get a better class of friend.
I was just going to say, I feel like, maybe your wife should be nicer to you.
She'd disagree with that statement.
Well, that you'd be a resplendent horse, but...
No, that she should be nice to me because she's my wife.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a good point, actually. If people can't be mean to you who are your own spouses, then who can?
Exactly. I'm
not allowed to be mean at my spouse at the moment because he's poorly, but as soon as he's well again, I'll tear him a new one. That's not true. I love Richard. He's a darling.
You're just saving it all up, making little notes. Oh, that'd be a great insult in about 6 months' time. I'll make a note of that.
The other day, I felt so bad. Me and Richard have got this habit every now and again of just poking each other or giving each other a little playful punch, how you doing? And I punched him right in his exit wound, and I felt quite bad about that. Because he was like, Stace. I went, yeah. He went, you realise that's where I had my catheter removed? I don't know, a day ago. I was like, oh God, I'm so sorry. I've never felt worse in my life. I did a bit of grovelling that day. Anyway, nobody needs to hear about this.
Anyway, yeah.
Morning, everybody.
People come for sass, fun, and morning goodness. And
morning.
Yeah, we've got
not spousal abuse.
Some catheters, and we've not even gone 5 minutes.
It wasn't a penis catheter, if that helps. It was a tummy catheter. Anyway.
Let's just move on.
Yeah, I didn't just punch my husband in the dick. Well, good morning. Shall we do a segment?
Yeah, why not?
Jazz. What would you like to do first? Oh, mighty Barry one.
First off, thank you. Secondly, how about pick a fortnight?
That works for me. I was pausing so that you could go first because I've already talked a lot.
Good point.
I was just assuming that you were psychic and knew what I was doing there. Sorry.
I did, Stace, kind of. So, I'm really torn. What to pick? I'm going to pick a book just because I haven't done a book in ages.
Mm-hmm.
That I read, obviously, because that's how you do books, apparently. I tried balancing in my head for a week. That didn't work, so I read it. Yeah, so this book is called Sleep Tight. Mm-hmm. And to read the blurb, when DC Rose Gifford is called to investigate the death of a young woman suffocated in her bed, she can't shake the feeling that there's more to the crime than meets the eye. It looks like a straightforward crime scene, but the police can't find the killer. Enter D.S. Mooney, an eccentric older detective who runs... be careful how you say that. A secret department of the Met set up to solve supernatural crimes. Mooney wants Rose to help out, but Rose doesn't believe in any of that. I want to add that to say Rose doesn't believe in any of that shit. That's how I would have written that blurb. Anyway. And then it's got does she. As the killer prepares to strike again, Rose must pick a side before a second woman dies. Yeah, I was sent this to sort of review, and it's been a while since I actually read any books for review, even though I seem to be getting a stack of them. And I kind of whizzed through this in sort of, about a week, which is quite quick for me these days, in between everything else going on. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought the writing was really good, the prose is really good. Start again. If you've done your procedural police dramas, some of the twists and turns you might see coming, but that doesn't make it a bad story, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I quite like all of that. So yeah, it was really enjoyable, and I liked the I like the supernatural stuff. I like the idea that there's a police unit set up to kind of investigate supernatural crimes, but it's not as supernatural heavy as you think it would be, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. By doing that makes it feel more real world. It's not like just there's a bit where she actually goes to this place, but it's not like she's gone to Torchwood. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It still feels like a kind of just a bog standard police department. It just so happens they deal in the sort of weird and wonderful. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and this is they've called it book one, so and it does end in a way that leads you to believe that there's going to be more. So I hope they do more. I would definitely pick it up.
Nice. Who's it by?
It is. I suppose I should have started with that. It is by C.S. Green, who I believe is a fantasy. I believe is a crime author. This is a bit of a departure. Okay.
Yeah. I might have to give that a whirl then, because it sounds a bit sort of like I have completely blanked on the title of the book, the Paul Cornell trilogy that's about spooky police happenings.
Spooky police. Oh, I've got. Is it London Falling?
Oh yes, that sounds right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first one. But I've done that thing where I've just had the second one sitting on my shelf for a million years and not read it yet. I don't know why I do that. And then I bought more books since, because obviously I have. But I am actually doing a charity readathon in March, so maybe I'll read it then.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah. I've got the audio book version, but I've got Rivers of London, which is again, it's another magical crime procedural, police procedural novel series, but this is by Ben Aronovich. I've heard nothing but good things about the series. Dave sort of raves about it to me. And again, it's a similar thing. It's like a copper that gets involved, like a secret police department that kind of deals with magic and stuff. But I think that's much more overtly magic than this book is. This book feels very sort of grounded in that reality. But I quite like, there's a little bit in there where she kind of talks to one of the other police officers about it, and it's just his reaction to it, which isn't just out and out, this is all bollocks. So I quite like that. I quite like that the other police officers aren't necessarily completely against the idea.
Yeah.
Well worth a read.
Nice. Well, my pick of the fortnight is absolute nonsense, but I could not go an episode of any podcast without talking about how amazed I was by this film. It's me being totally on the pulse of cinema again, as it's a film from 1989. Mm-hmm. And it's not really geeky, but I literally cannot not talk about it.
Okay.
For the first time over the weekend, I watched Field of Dreams.
Now, before you continue, because you did ask me this and I hadn't replied, so I'll reply live to say I have not watched Field of Dreams.
Okay, do you have an intention to see Field of Dreams?
I feel it's one of those films that I kind of want to see at some stage.
Okay.
This is the Kevin Costner thing, isn't it? We have to build build it, they will come. That's what I know. Yeah.
How bothered are you about me spoiling it? Because
well, it depends. When you say spoil it, I mean I probably do want to watch it.
This is really difficult.
I know it involves spirits.
Okay, no, that's good. That's fine. So I went into this film thinking that it was about a bloke who has to save his farm, and he decides to build a baseball pitch field. I don't know what the technical term is. In order to raise money to save foreclosure on his farm. That is what I thought this movie was. Anybody who has actually seen the film will know that is 1,000% zero. Somehow I've understood the gist of the movie, but also completely misunderstood the gist of this movie. Right. It is insane, and I love it. It's so weird. I can't really go into it without spoiling it for you, so I might have to talk about it on the next episode of The Parlour. Fingers crossed that my co-host has actually seen it or doesn't care. But it was one of those films where my expectation of it was this is going to be, a fine film with fine actors where, a man builds a baseball field and everybody has a lark and they raise some money and his house is saved and what a lovely day. Like that's I thought it was just going to be a movie we could put on because we've had quite a stressful couple of weeks, both at work and personally, and it would just be like, at the end of it. That's what I was expecting. I could not stop laughing at the end, and Rich couldn't stop laughing at me because my reaction to this movie was just like, how on earth does this movie work? This is insane. Why aren't more people talking about how fucking insane this movie is? It makes absolutely zero sense, but at the same time, it works perfectly. It is such a phenomenon of a movie. I just do not get it, and I love it. And it's such a stupid thing for me to recommend on a podcast because it's from 1989 and I'm pretty sure everybody who wants to see it has seen it except you.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Maybe you should go and watch it and we'll talk about it next time a little bit, just because I'm so interested, especially because you're a writer, so you sort of have more of a sort of grasp on how things thematically work. But this movie just shouldn't work. It's just fucking bonkers. But everybody acts like it's not bonkers. Everybody acts like it's what a great film about sports. It's not even slightly about fucking sports. Aside from the fact that it's tangentially, it's adjacent to baseball. It's not. Oh, Barry, I love it. I love it. I love it so much. But it's not my favourite film in the history of the world, but it's more because it just elicited so much joy out of me because I was like, this is so stupid / brilliant / bonkers. I can't even with it. I love it. So yeah, Field of Dreams, everyone. Go watch it if you haven't already, and then come back to me and explain to me what the fuck is this movie.
I will endeavour to watch it before we record next, and then we can talk about it. Because
I have so many questions, all of the questions.
Because it's one of those films that just completely passed by, and I have to say, largely the reason it passed me by because I was in the same camp as you, as in I just thought it was a feel-good drama about a bloke who builds a baseball pitch.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's the right term.
Yeah.
And there might be a couple of spirits in there or something. And I thought, there's probably some comedy spirit helping him or something, Well,
do you know what? I thought, because I didn't even know anything about the spirits or anything beforehand. But I'd said to Rich, because as the film started, there's a little sort of, this is literally the first couple of minutes, there's just a little bit about his dad who's passed away. And I was like, oh, his dad's going to be the one who, I don't know, appears to him in a dream and says that, because I knew the line, if you build it, he will come. I knew that line. So I thought he's going to be the one who turns up and goes, if you build it, this fucking rad-ass baseball player's going to come and you're going to rake in the dosh and it'll be happy farm times. Nope. That's not the movie I got. The movie I got was bananas. Totally bananas. But also, it's the most when I say it's bananas, I don't mean in the sense that it's visually bonkers or whatever. It's a very... It's written as though everybody in the film is this is what's happening, this is very normal, but it isn't normal. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I get why people love it now, because I was also a bit put off with it because of the idea of it being a sports film, because I'm not really into sports, and the sports I am into are not baseball. But I can't tell you how much fun I had talking to Rich about this film for a good hour after it finished. I love it. Anyway, let's stop rambling because I'm sure everybody's like, Stace, this film's from 1989. Calm down.
Nothing wrong about that. Okay, right. So I'm gonna watch it.
Excellent. You're gonna come. I'm so scared now that you're gonna come back to me next week and be like, Stace, it's a perfectly cromulent film. What are you on about?
Or I'll just come back and go, well, that was a bag of shite.
Or or that. But either way, at least you'll have seen it.
I won't do that. I trust you.
Anyway, shall I have a trumpet?
Have a trumpet.
Trumpets. Musical musings. Barry, what have you been putting in your ears this past however long it's been since our last episode, because we can never stick to a schedule?
Well, Stace, funny you should say that. Well, it's actually not funny you should say that at all, because that was the question you asked me. Jeez, I'm doing badly today.
We both aren't doing great.
I know. God, this is what happens when you give up drinking for ages.
Oh, see, I'm sleep deprived, so that's my excuse.
So even though I haven't done any of this yet, I'd set myself a thing I wanted to do this year, is in that I wanted to go back and rewatch all of my pulp adventure films.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this whole grand plan where I was going to do like a podcast, and I was going to like watch my favorite pulp film and then talk about it, and then go on, you know, and it's going to be called the Fortress of Pulpitude. See what I did there? That would involve me actually watching any of the said films which I haven't done yet. However, the first film that I probably will watch, I have chosen my musical museum from, because I absolutely love this soundtrack, and I believe, he says, going to check, the soundtrack is done by James Horner.
Ooh, okay.
Hang on, I'm just double checking. Yes, good old James Horner, who did like Star Trek and Krull and all sorts. He's an awesome composer. So the film is The Rocketeer.
Ooh.
Which I love. I flipping love The Rocketeer. And the track I've picked is actually it's a sort of end credit track called Rocketeer to the Rescue.
Oh, okay.
And it is just, I mean, I love the whole soundtrack. I could pick any one of them, I'd be happy. But this one is just awesome. And it's just a fantastic film. And it's that kind of, I haven't seen Field of Dreams, so I can't really say, but it's just that kind of film that you just put it on and it's just a lovely feel-good film, and the goodies are goodies and the baddies are baddies. There's no grey, you know. It's like, he's a Nazi, he works for Nazis, kill him.
Brilliant.
You know. Yeah, and great film and great soundtrack, and this is my pick, Rocketeer to the Rescue.
Nice. I have I've gone off Spotify. I'm sorry, everybody. This one's not going to be on the playlist, but
to be fair, the Rocketeer won't be either.
Yeah, no. Half of your choices aren't, because you don't pick popular things like I do. You pick things that are actually cool and no one knows about.
I live on the fringe. I live on the fringe of soundtracks.
Living life on the edge.
That's me. That's who I am. Drink a cup of tea. That's who I am.
Well, I have picked a song from the 90s anime, The Vision of Escaflowne. And anybody who knows me even slightly has probably heard me banging on about what a fucking cracking anime this is. So just to set the scene in terms of what the anime is, so that you can get a feel for the music, it is a anime about a girl from Earth who gets flipped off to a planet that's not Earth. That's kind of like what medieval England would be if there were also floating fortresses and giant robots what fight each other with swords.
Okay.
And sometimes there's dragons. Anyway, it's really cool. The soundtrack to Escaflowne is legit some of the best soundtrack work I've ever heard. I was throughout my college years, I was glued to the 4 Escaflowne soundtracks, and today I've literally flipped through all 4 of them over and over trying to figure out which fucking track I'm going to pick. But I ended up going with a track called Revenge, which is from the 3rd Escaflowne soundtrack, and it is composed by a Japanese composer called Yoko Kanno. She's done loads of anime and video game scores. And this particular track starts as a sort of soaring, dragon in flight kind of, quite pomp and grandiose piece of music. And just as you get to the point where you think you know where this track's going, it turns into a bolero. And then this bolero, just builds and builds over 4.5 minutes until it crescendos at the end and punches you right in the fucking face. It is so good. It's it's proper holy shit, you know when you get a build up in an orchestra. It's like, oh, it's all like calm and quiet, and then it's built. There's a layer of here come the strings. Oh, we've got some more brass, and then oh, and it just builds on top of each other, and the hairs on your neck stand up a little bit. It's like that. It's really good.
Nice. I always think the original Superman theme, John Williams kind of does that really well, where it just builds and builds and builds, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm flying.
yeah. This track. I mean, I would wholeheartedly recommend. Like, I know it's not on Spotify, but you could, like, a lot of it is on like YouTube and stuff. And I'm sure you can still get, I don't know, CDs from somewhere. But I would wholeheartedly recommend listening to all of the soundtracks anyway, because they are brilliant. But this particular track is one that just floored me the first time I heard it. It's just great. Yeah. And watch Oscar Floney, because it's good, yeah.
Yeah, you've picked a couple of tracks from that show, actually.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. I think I could go for like a year and just pick a different track off those 4 albums. But yeah, it's good. Do it. Have a listen to it.
Cool. I'll watch Field of Dreams first, though. What's the music like for Field of Dreams, by the way?
Do you know, I don't really remember it, so I feel like it's quite unassuming. I feel like it's the kind of music that you're like, yeah, this fits the film, but you don't really remember it afterwards.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I can't even tell you who did it, so whoops. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, sorry. I've lost some Barry Cool points there, haven't I?
Yeah, you know, it's okay. You can get them back. Especially if Field of Dreams are good, it will all come.
I've got visions of you thinking it's like the most boring movie you've ever seen, and I'm going to be like, oh.
I've just looked something up about Field of Dreams. I was looking at the No, it's a lovely. I was looking up the Field of Dreams soundtrack, and guess who the soundtrack's by, Stace?
Oh, go on! It's somebody good, isn't it? Like a Hans Zimmer or something.
It's by James Horner, who did the Rocketeer soundtrack.
Nice.
Anyone would have thought we planned that. Apart from the fact I've just said, anyone would have thought we planned that.
Anybody would have thought we planned that, aside from the fact that I was just like, I don't know who fucking composed it, do I? Do you think I am the encyclopedia on Field of Dreams?
Well.
Do we have time for a wee little other segment, B?
Yes, we do. If really quick, because I've got a really quick one.
Okay.
So, Get all about it. Get all about it.
Extra.
Get your papers, love. Oh, it's taters, isn't it? Oi, put it down, you slag. I went a bit Australian towards the end of that. I don't know why.
You did a little bit. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. I'm North London. I don't know what that was about. Anyway, so yeah, this is where I pick a bit of news, and then I go, look, there's a bit of news, and we point and prod the bit of news, and then segment's over. It's not really that exciting, but we're contracted to do it. But I know one in particular. Anyway, I'm just going to do it. So Netflix, shocker, are doing a new CG animated series called Daniel Spellbound. Just quite like that name, to be honest. The series is a supernatural fantasy adventure story that's set in modern day New York. I can't say New York. Oh my god, I can't say New York. New York. Yeah, that place in America where everyone goes to. That place with Broadway. In the series, magic is real. It's just hidden from the public by sleight of hand and misdirection. But Daniel Spellbound knows where to find it. As a tracker of magical ingredients, he makes his living selling rare goods to sorcerers and wizards for their spells. But when he discovers a strange ingredient, Daniel catches the attention of dangerous alchemists, and he must suddenly test his skills on an adventure around the globe while his magical world hangs in the balance. Boom.
Ooh. Sounds interesting.
I quite like that, especially the bloke who's doing it, who is Matt Fernandez. Cool name.
Yeah.
Said I wanted to create a contemporary fantasy world that reflected urban culture, not just set in a magical world, but where the magic is woven into the fabric of modern society, only hidden in plain sight. I had always been curious about how wizards actually acquired the strange ingredients for their spells. Is there a corner store that has them? And who is the guy that finds all that weird stuff? From that point, Daniel Spellbound was born. I really like the sound of that because it's got a kind of Indiana Jones vibe to it. with the whole going out and finding stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm quite it could turn out to be not what I think at all, but I'm quite excited about it. It's not out until next year. It's going to be 20 episodes, 22 minutes long. Boom.
Good.
What do we think?
Stuff. Yeah, I quite like the sound of that. I always this is going to sound terrible. I'm always interested in the idea of like magic related stuff, but a lot of the magic related stuff that I've looked at hasn't been that good. So like you know, not to piss on anyone's chips, but Harry Potter's really badly written, yeah. Like I'm not going to have that. No. Like I absolutely devoured all of those books like the days they came out, but still they're not good. And like there's been a lot of like sort of that sort of thing, but like, you know, oh, it's Barry Plopper, you know, kind of practically, you know, rip-offs of the same thing. So I do quite like the idea of this being like something that's more not like grounded, but more like relatable. Because how relatable is it getting shipped off to a massive fucking castle full of, you know, fucking spooky supernatural / magical shit? Like, I don't know, maybe if you went to boarding school you can relate, but to me it was just like, ooh, okay, that's, I don't know. Whereas this seems like it's going to be a bit more sort of, a bit more real life-ish, which I quite like the sound of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'd be interested to see, like, as more information comes out about, like, voice actors and stuff like that in it.
Yeah, like everything, I think a lot of it will come down to the voice acting and
the
the look of it.
Peek.
Yeah.
Although that being said, like there are some things that can even then still exceed my expectations. Like, have you been watching the Harley Quinn cartoon at all?
I watched all of the first season and I haven't watched any of the second season, which is ridiculous because I absolutely loved the first season.
It's great, isn't it? Like we just started watching it this week, and like the reason we hadn't watched it up to this point is because we were like, I don't really like Kaylee Cuoco very much, and you know, I was like, you know, Harley Quinn, and when I saw the style of it, I was like, oh, it just looks like everything else, like I don't care. But then we started watching it like last week, and I think we're about like 15 episodes in already.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's so funny. I can't even, because it's been such a long time now, I can't even remember half of the stuff that happens in some of the one-liners. But I mean, there's some quality one, and it works on two levels. It's a funny show, but also it's funnier if you know the DC universe as well.
Oh, Jim Gordon being cast as like a sort of sad, desperate loner is really fucking funny to me. Really funny to me. Like every time he's like, Batman doesn't care about me. That's really funny. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so I'll look forward to having a poke at a trailer of that when it comes out. Sounds good.
Yeah, so that's Daniel Spellbound.
Excellent. Well, that was season 3, episode 4 of Stace and Barry in the morning. If you'd I went a bit out of tune at the end there. Sorry. If you would like to get in touch with me and/or Barry, you can do us a tweet at Stacey's Parlour and at Geek Syndicate. You can send us an email, staceandbarry@gmail.com. I almost forgot our email address then. You could also join the Geek Syndicate and/or Stacey's Pop Culture Parlour Facebook groups where we talk about geeky shit and other stuff. And also, we might be doing a charity podcast in March, so, you know, fingers crossed there'll be another episode before that where we can confirm it and the time and give you a link.
And it won't just be an episode going, it's on now!
lads, run! And have a good rest of your Saturday / whenever you're listening to this, and get your COVID vaccine, Babs. I've had mine. It wasn't that bad, and I'm not radioactive or anything.
Good to know. Well, to be honest, I'm a safe distance away from you anyway, so
that's true. Yeah.
By safe distance, I mean the end of the sofa, obviously.
Yeah, but you're definitely not within coughing distance. So.
No, definitely not.
Bye everybody, we love you.
Bye all. Crazy kids.
Pardon me. Cut that burp out.
Yeah, I was all right. It's a bit forceful. Cut that burp out. Do your job.
Put the fucking burp out. He's going to leave it in there so that we can keep all this bants at the end. God.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's how I roll. Yeah. Dickhead news.
It's a good job I love you.
I love you and everyone, but you especially.
Oh, thanks. I don't love everyone. Some people are shit.
Yeah, like you. You know who you are.
Yeah. You heard me.
Shit. Have we actually finished now?
I think so.
Oh,
Maybe.
okay.
Just stop recording, then we have.
Yeah, good point.